You likely want a successful and happy retirement. Now, happiness has been studied by many different individuals throughout history, but recently, happiness when it comes to your retirement has been studied by PhDs around the world, and they are all drawing the same conclusion that your happiness in retirement comes back down to one element. Now, that one element solves many different areas of anxiety. It solves many different risk elements that are on the table with retirement. And this one element is what will actually help you to have a more successful retirement, and that's based upon the math and the science behind it. Now, that one element is adding in a guaranteed source of income. Now, the more guaranteed sources of income you have, the better off statistically and mathematically you will be. So what we want to do is talk about the benefits of adding in a commission-free annuity that provides guaranteed sources of income for you. Hey, it's Nathan Krampe, and I make these videos because you are likely very ambitious when it comes to your financial plan and overall wealth management. But you know there's more out there. You want to create an impact for yourself, your family, and your company. And you get that push by learning about great opportunities. So today, let's learn about an opportunity that you have in commission-free annuities and the benefits they provide to your overall wealth plan. Enjoy! Let's dive in, and we are going to be covering a couple different elements. We want to be talking about the history, we're going to move into the benefits of annuities, and then we're going to end with the actual aspects that annuities solve for and the risks they take off the table. So with that, let's start with the very first element, the history. The history of annuities come back down to actually the fact that they've been around for a long time, but the one element that has changed over the years that have actually improved the annuities comes back down to the income streams. Now, it's not that the income streams have gotten better. No, they've actually been very good historically as well as today. So the amount of money they're paying you has not changed, but that income stream and the ways they pay that to you, as well as the insurance company being able to retain the money, that has changed. So what do I mean by this? You see, years ago, and this is probably what you remember as well, that the insurance company, when you gave them the amount of money to put into the annuity, they would do that. They would start guaranteeing you a source of income every single month, the exact same way that a paycheck would be coming in the door. But the difference is that if something ever happened to you, the insurance company would keep that money. They would actually hold on to that money, and that would become theirs. So it was to their benefit if you passed away early, because they would not have to pay out that money. Well, things have changed over the years, and this really started to progress around the time of the great financial crisis. And what happens now is that yes, you can still annuitize, and yes, the insurance company could still take that money. But there are new benefits, the income riders and the withdrawal benefit riders, that actually are there to say, no, we're not going to be giving that money to the insurance company. The insurance company will hold on to it, yes. The insurance company is going to pay you every single month in the exact same manner, yes. And for the most part, in the exact same amounts as what the annuitization would provide. The key difference here is that the insurance company, if something ever happened to you, would pay the money to your beneficiaries. So what that means then is that you can still have this income stream, but know that if there's money left in the contract, if we put in $1 million into the contract and there's $500,000 left, or you put in $200,000 and there's $100,000 left, well, now that money can be either continued for your spouse and being paid out as form of basically an income stream and a paycheck to them, or you could even have the lump sum amount be paid out to your beneficiaries as well. So the biggest aspect that was a negative to annuities over the years has been solved. And such to the point that now the real biggest risk of annuities and the downside is that there's some high fees associated with some of them. But when we add in a commission-free annuity, one that does not pay high commissions to the advisor, to the broker, well, then we start to really reduce the fees in the contract overall. And if we find some specific type of annuities that do not have fees, period, and there are some out there, well, now we can really start to say this can be very beneficial to you and very helpful to provide that stream of income to actually solve for one of the things that you really want in retirement, and that's happiness. So it's an income stream that's going to be guaranteed, and because of those guarantees, reduces your anxiety, reduces the stresses in your life, and improves your it improves your happiness. You see, the PhDs, the leading scientists in retirement planning throughout the last couple of years, have really dived into what does provide the level of happiness. And it really comes back down to a couple of key elements, and that's really having the guaranteed sources of income. Now, I say a couple elements because it's not just an annuity. Social Security provides the guaranteed source of income. A pension can provide the source of income there that is guaranteed. But the key element that annuities help solve for is the fact that if Social Security and pensions do not provide enough of that guaranteed source of money, then the annuity can step in and fill the gaps. And when we talk about what is enough, generally speaking, we want to pay up to how much in expenses and bills and just living expenses that you have through guaranteed sources of income. Because if those key elements are all solved for and we have that taken care of, then we don't have the issues, we don't have the needs. If something happens to the stock market, yes, maybe you may not go on the vacation the same way that year, but it doesn't affect you paying your bills. It doesn't affect food. It doesn't affect gasoline. It doesn't affect your home, your mortgages that you have to have. Well, because of all of that, you have a more successful, happy retirement just by the mathematical numbers. And while things change all the time, so happiness is not a guarantee, but the numbers do show that on average, you are going to be happier because of the fact that you have those guaranteed sources of income. So what that looks like then is that the annuity itself, like I've talked about, can provide those guaranteed sources of income in addition to pensions, in addition to your Social Security. And that's where the annuities fit, is part of those guaranteed sources of income. So the history has always been the fact that annuities have been a good place, but the change that's happened recently is the fact that now, instead of the insurance company taking all of that money, keeping all of that money, now they can be paying out to beneficiaries as well. So now we can have the stream of income, and we know that we are not giving up control of those assets upon your death. That is one of the great elements of the annuity today when we use income riders and we use income withdrawal benefit riders as well. So let's dive into a couple elements that are going to be solved for. So this leads us to the second point that we want to be bringing to managing your downside risk. Now, managing your downside risk actually really comes back down to many different elements. So it's not just one, but let's start talking about the one that we are all thinking about, and that's the stock market. That's the volatility. That's the things that we see, the ups and downs, and the things that we want to be alleviating more and more. Well, if we add in a correct annuity that provides a guaranteed stream of income, well, that can actually solve for a lot of those types of volatility issues, things that would be a risk to any portfolio. And if we can increase return and lower the risk of your portfolio, that actually helps to keep the money growing longer, as well as, again, going back to the happiness factor, allowing you to be more happy and more fulfilled in retirement as well. And like I said before, this is something that's just mathematically based. So there's many elements that come back to happiness, but if we can solve for the biggest stressors in your life, that tends to lead to a happier life. So when we take a look at downside risk management, well, that obviously comes back down to the downside of the stock market, and we can reduce or remove those downside risks with a fixed annuity. Now, fixed annuities are ones that can be growing in a percent, sometimes fixed annuity will grow on an actual percent basis that is guaranteed every single year. A fixed index annuity can grow with the stock market. So we can still get actually stock market like returns at times, but we remove the downside. So if the stock market goes down, we don't lose the money related to the downturn of the stock market. That is one key element that certain annuities can provide. So fixed indexed annuities can provide those. Fixed annuities can provide those. Now there are other annuities like variable annuities that actually can go up and down with the stock market. So those are not what we're going to be talking about today. Today we want to be talking about the ones that protect on the downside, and those are two, the fixed and the fixed index, that can actually be doing that. Now the other element then of the downside risk protection comes back to the fact that these annuities with this guaranteed stream of income, and if we can be increasing that income every single year, that can keep up with inflation. So that's actually another risk that's out there that is very prevalent that we can be removing with something that's keeping up with inflation. But what I really actually want to be talking about are the two risks that annuities really solve for. Yes, inflation's a big piece of that. But the first element that you see for a successful retirement is the sequence of return risk. Now, those sequence of returns actually are a bigger element than the growth of your portfolio. So you can actually be averaging over 10% in the stock market every single year on average, and we've done that since 1929. So this is something that has historically happened, but you can't take out 10% of your portfolio even though on average it can grow that much. You can't even take out 5% or 4%. The new information that is out today, and this is done by Morningstar, which is a research firm, they've come out and said you can take out 2.8% of your money every single year, and on average they'll mean that now you won't run out of money. Well, you're sitting there and saying, well, if I am growing it on average 10%, I surely can take out more than 2.8%, and the answer is wrong. You see, when we take a look at what we talked about, that sequence of return risks, that alone will justify and dictate how much money you can take out of your portfolio. And in the first number of years of your retirement, if the stock market continues to go down, continues to be in a what we call bear market phase, and this could be happening in right now, the time frame that we have, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, where the market is not doing well and we're not growing, we're not actually getting that 10% in these first number of years. Well, if we're taking money out of your portfolio in the same way that we are actually having the portfolio go down in value, that is setting yourself up for a failed retirement. Now, that is really something that the annuities can solve for. Because what happens is that we can allow that money to continue to keep growing over time while we're taking money from the annuity. So the annuity is still going to be paying you that source of income every single month, every single year that we're having the income streams coming in the door. And those and those income streams can be guaranteed. Those income streams can be ones that are very useful. But again, when we come back to Social Security, when we come back to pensions, those are guaranteed streams of income. And if those don't provide enough income for your just basic living expenses, we can add in an annuity from an insurance company. And then what that will produce is, say, it takes out the sequence of returns risks. Because we're taking money every single month to pay your bills, and we can actually have an increasing stream of income every single year to keep up with inflation. So now we can be paying your bills with the money over here. And when the stock market starts to rebound, when things start to do better and turn around, which historically has happened, so this is something that historically has been ongoing, that we go through bad times and good times in the stock market. And if we start averaging closer to that 10%, all the better. But with that money, that is not money we're taking out for income streams, that can be more growing with the stock market. But the one that we need for daily living expenses, the ones that are going to be making sure that no matter what, you have your bills covered, that is the money that, if we have those protections in place, especially against the sequence of return risks, helps you to have a more successful and happy retirement. And again, this is something that is not a guarantee based upon just what I'm sitting here saying. The math and the science behind the PhDs of the world of what they've been looking at have really started to show that that is what helps to have a more fulfilled retirement. It all comes back down to you, though, of how you're going to be using that money, how you're going to be actually enjoying it. But now that you have the basics taken care of with those streams of income, allows you to enjoy the thought process of what you're going to be doing. Okay, so if we have the sequence of return risk taken care of, there is another huge element. And this one risk supersedes every other risk that's out there. This is actually the biggest risk that you have in all of retirement. Now, this one risk is what I call a risk multiplier. This one risk is the fact that it's going to increase the risk of the sequence of returns. It's going to increase the stock market risks that are out there. It's going to increase inflationary risks that are out there, long-term risks, all of those risks. That risk comes back down to how long you live. Longevity. You see, if you are living longer, then the money has to last longer, which means that if we have a big downturn in the stock market, that's going to be more detrimental. If you are going to be living longer and you're going to need more care for long-term care, well, that means that we're going to need to be putting more money aside. So that is a detriment to the savings that you've built over the years. If you are going to be living longer, then inflation is going to have much more of an impact on your money as well, in your wealth. So what we can do then is solve for longevity. And I've always said this, that life insurance basically guards against your passing, your death, because you can be paying money to your beneficiaries. Whereas an annuity, a guaranteed stream of income, Social Security, pensions, and an annuity through a life insurance company, those can actually guard against you living. So we can take the longevity risk off the table with annuities, and done correctly, that is actually going to now increase, again, what we're going to be talking about, the monies that can be coming in on a daily basis with respect to the income streams. We can be keeping that with inflation so that we can be guarded against all of those risks. But that's the one element that only guaranteed streams of income can do, is take the longevity risk off the table. So if that is our multiplier, that multiplies all other risks, the one element that annuity can handle that no other financial instrument, whether it's stocks, bonds, real estate, which is usually a big deal of what people think can actually be there to provide those streams of income. But the however is that they're not guaranteed. They can go away, they can go down, they can be taken. So we have all these other assets that are out there that are there for inflation, are there to grow, are there for many other elements and reasons, but they are not the guaranteed sources of income the way that annuities provide. So when we take a look at all the different elements, the guaranteed sources of income can actually help you have a more successful and happy retirement, because it takes the sequence of return risk off the table. It takes the longevity risk off the table. And if we do those correctly, and we look at how those elements can be removed from your overall financial plan and wealth plan, the better off you're going to be with a successful retirement. Because you've made it this far in the video, I want to celebrate you. You see, most people start but don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. They say they want a better financial plan, but they don't take the action or do the work. But you are different. You have made it this far. And to show you my gratitude, I'm going to give you a special one-on-one consultation session to help improve your overall wealth plan. Click the link below and you can sign up for the one-on-one consultation because you are awesome. For more tips and tricks on how you can continue to improve the level of success of your overall financial wealth plan, check out this link right here. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.